rain had just started when Mia ducked into Evelyn's curios and thrift, shaking off her umbrella and laughing under her breath. The bell above the door gave a tired jingle, echoing through aisles stacked with forgotten objects, dusty picture frames, chipped porcelain dolls, and the faint smell of old leather and mildew. Mia wasn't supposed to be there. She was supposed to be studying for midterms, but something about the orange Halloween clearance sign taped crookedly to the window had drawn her in. The store was nearly empty, except for the old woman behind the counter. She sat perfectly still, her eyes clouded but sharp. When Mia smiled and waved, the woman's lips twitched but didn't quite move. Mia wandered deeper into the aisles until she reached a small display marked masks, $5 each. There were plastic skulls, cracked vampire faces, and cheap latex clowns, but one mask stood out. It was unsettlingly realistic, a human face, pale and smooth, with soft contours that looked too natural for rubber. The mouth was slightly open, lips frozen in a faint smile, the kind that never reached the eyes. Its hollow eye sockets seemed to follow her as she leaned closer. A yellowed tag dangled from the string. "Do not wear," she laughed softly. "Creepy marketing tactic," she muttered. Her fingers brushed the mask. The surface was oddly warm, like skin warmed by sunlight, though the shop was cold. She recoiled slightly, then, almost without thinking, lifted it from the hook. It was light, fragile, and damp. No, not damp, just soft. From behind her, the old woman's voice rasped. "You shouldn't take that one." Mia turned, startled. "Why not? It's just a mask." The woman's hands trembled slightly as she folded a newspaper. "Some things remember what they were," she said cryptically. Mia forced a laugh. "Okay, spooky. Perfect for Halloween." She placed a $5 bill on the counter before the woman could argue. The old woman stared at the mask, not the money. "You wear it, and it won't come off easy." Mia smirked, stuffing the mask into her tote bag. "Guess I'll take my chances." Outside, the rain had stopped, but the air felt heavier, thicker somehow. She hurried across campus, the mask's weight in her bag feeling more substantial than it should. That night, in her dorm, she placed the mask on her desk under the glow of her fairy lights. Its glossy surface caught the dim light, and for a second, just a second, she thought it twitched, the corners of the mouth lifting a little higher. She blinked. It was still again. Her roommate Jess called from the bathroom. "Hey, you bringing that creepy thing to the party tomorrow?" Mia looked back at the mask. The faint smile seemed to widen under her gaze. "Yeah," she said softly, almost to herself. "It's perfect." Outside her window, the wind carried a low, whispering sound that might have been laughter, or just the storm returning. The Halloween party was already pulsing with music when Mia arrived, the bass vibrating through the old dormitory floorboards. She'd put on a black dress, painted her lips crimson, and tied her hair back simple. But the real statement was in her hands, the mask. It looked even more lifelike in the light. Its faint smile seemed to shimmer as she lifted it toward her face. For a moment, she hesitated. That old woman's words still echoed somewhere in the back of her mind. Some things remember what they were. Then she slipped it on. The inside was slick, almost wet, but it molded perfectly to her skin as if it had been waiting for her. The air felt colder, heavier. Her breath sounded different inside the mask, muffled and strange, like someone else breathing through her. When she looked in the mirror by the door, she froze. Her reflection smiled before she did. She blinked, confused. She hadn't moved, but the mask, no, her face was grinning wide, the corners of her mouth stretching higher than felt possible. Then, just as quickly, it stopped. Someone shouted from the hallway, "Mia, you coming or hiding?" She tore her eyes from the mirror. Yeah, coming. At the party, people cheered at her entrance. Someone yelled, "Creepy mask. It looks so real." Another friend added, "Where'd you get that? Feels weirdly alive." Mia laughed, but even her voice sounded off lower, almost like two tones overlapping. She shook it off, grabbed a drink, and let herself disappear into the crowd. Hours blurred, music, laughter, a few too many shots. But somewhere between the third and fourth drink, she started to feel disconnected. Every time she passed a mirror on the wall behind the bar, even in someone's sunglasses, her reflection seemed a fraction too slow to follow. Once she thought she saw it smiling again while she was sipping her drink, lips curling higher, teeth too white, too sharp. She ripped the mask off in the bathroom, gasping. Her skin underneath was flushed and damp, like she'd been sweating inside it for hours. In the mirror, her face was pale, her eyes bloodshot. But when she lifted the mask to the counter, its smile lingered. For just a second, just enough to make her heart lurch, she could swear the lips moved. "Get a grip," she whispered to herself. "It's just cheap latex." But as she left the bathroom, she didn't notice the faint fog forming on the mirror's surface. In the condensation, a smile took shape, a perfect imprint of the mask's grin, and when the lights flickered from the hallway, her reflection was still there, smiling long after she was gone. The next morning, Mia woke with a dull ache behind her eyes and a fog in her thoughts. The mask sat on her desk where she'd left it, or thought she had. Only now, it was tilted slightly, facing her bed. Jess was already gone, her side of the room neat, except for a coffee mug and a stack of notes. The quiet felt unnatural, too still, like the air itself was waiting. Mia rubbed her temples and tried to ignore the mask's hollow eyes. "You're just plastic," she muttered, half to reassure herself. Just $5 plastic. But when she went to the bathroom to wash her face, she froze again. In the mirror, her reflection was smiling. Her lips weren't. Her face was still, expressionless. Yet the reflection's mouth curved into a slow, deliberate grin. Her stomach twisted. She touched her cheek. The reflection didn't mimic it immediately, it lagged, like a buffering video. Then it moved, too late and too smoothly. "Jess," she called out, her voice trembling. No answer. The reflection leaned closer. Mia stumbled back, her heart pounding. It's just a trick of light. But when she glanced away, she heard it soft, wet whispering, faint like breath against glass. Maya, her name. The sound was faint, but intimate, slithering around her ears like something alive. She turned sharply, but the room was empty. Only the mirror remained, its surface now fogged slightly, though the air wasn't cold. She wiped it with her sleeve. For half a second, her reflection's mouth didn't match her own. It mouthed words instead. 3 of them. Let me in. The lights flickered overhead. Mia stumbled out of the bathroom, her pulse wild. She threw a towel over the mirror and sat on her bed, trying to steady her breathing. The mask still sat on the desk, but now she could swear it was smiling wider than before. By evening, she tried convincing herself it was exhaustion, maybe dehydration. She avoided the bathroom mirror all day, but when the sun set and the dorm filled with the glow of phones and laptop screens, she started to notice something else. Her phone camera. Every time she opened it, her image flickered for a split second before stabilizing. In those flickers, her face wasn't her own. It was wearing the mask. That night, she woke to a soft, scraping sound, like nails against glass. She turned in bed, blinking through the darkness. The towel had fallen from the mirror. In its dim reflection, someone stood beside her bed, her silhouette, but smiling. Wide, still, watching. Mia's breath caught. She blinked once, and the figure was gone. But from the desk, the mask gleamed faintly in the dark, as if it had just been put down. Mia woke with a scream trapped in her throat. Her sheets were damp with sweat, her pulse thrumming violently in her neck. For a moment, she didn't know where she was. The dorm room looked alien, the shadows sharper than they should be. The clock on her nightstand read 3:47 p.m. She stared at it, disoriented. She had gone to bed just after midnight. Had she really slept 15 hours? Her head pounded. The faint metallic tang of blood hung in the air. She sat up and froze. Her fingernails were packed with dirt. Not just a little clumps of it, dark and wet, pressed deep beneath each nail. Her heartbeat quickened. No, no, no. She swung her legs over the side of the bed. Her socks were soaked through. Mud caked the soles of her feet, and on her desk the mask was gone. She tore through the room, throwing open drawers, shaking out blankets, even checking under the bed. Nothing. The door creaked behind her. Jess stood in the doorway, pale and wide-eyed. Mia, what the hell happened to you? Mia blinked. What do you mean? Jess pointed to Mia's hands. You came in this morning, mud everywhere, your clothes torn, and you wouldn't talk. I thought you were drunk or something. You just stared at me. I didn't leave. I was asleep. Jess frowned. You were gone, Mia. Half the dorm saw you. The words hit like ice water. Gone where? Jess hesitated. There's something else. The police were on campus earlier. They found some kind of mess behind the art building. Blood. A lot of it. Mia's vision blurred. Blood, Jess nodded slowly. And footprints. bare ones. Mia's legs nearly gave out. Jess, where's the mask? What mask? The one I wore to the party. Jess blinked. You threw that away, didn't you? You said it creeped you out. Mia didn't answer. She turned toward her desk again, feeling her stomach twist. Something was different about the air, thicker, colder. The bathroom door stood slightly ajar. A soft, rhythmic sound came from inside. Drip, drip, drip. Mia pushed the door open. The mask was hanging from the mirror. It had been nailed into the glass, right through the eye holes. Thick streaks of what looked like blood ran down from where it hung, trickling into the sink. And in the reflection, though Mia wasn't wearing it, her reflection was. It grinned. Its lips moved soundlessly, but she understood the words. You wore me. Now I wear you. The bathroom lights flickered and went out. When they flicked back on, the mask was gone. Mia stood trembling in the doorway, her reflection now smiling faintly, even though her own mouth remained still. By morning, Mia no longer trusted mirrors. She covered the one in her dorm with duct tape, turned her phone face down, and unplugged her laptop camera. But reflections had a way of finding her anyway, shadows in coffee cups, glass doors, dark puddles on the pavement. Everywhere she looked, she saw it. That faint, knowing smile staring back. Campus buzzed with unease. Rumors spread someone had found blood by the old chapel now. The police had been asking questions, and every time someone mentioned it, Mia's chest tightened, like her heart was trying to claw its way out. She needed answers. Evelyn's curios and thrift was still there, just as dim and dust-filled as before. The bell chimed as she entered, and the same old woman looked up from behind the counter. Her eyes widened. You came back, the woman said softly. I didn't think you'd survive the night. Mia's voice shook. What is it? The mask. What's happening to me? The woman exhaled slowly. That mask was made from a man who wouldn't die. Mia stared at her. He was a killer, the woman continued. Halloween, 1978. They called him the skin artist. He made his final masterpiece from his victims, stitched their faces together to make a mask. When the police finally caught him, he was still wearing it. He smiled right before they hanged him. The words slid into Mia's mind like shards of glass. After that, the woman whispered, the mask went missing. It finds someone every few years, someone who looks into its eyes long enough. It feeds on vanity, curiosity. Once worn, it takes root. You don't wear it, it wears you. Mia backed away, trembling. How do I stop it? You can't. The air seemed to collapse inward. The woman leaned closer, her voice barely a breath. It only leaves when it finds another face to wear. Mia's reflection in the store window caught her attention. It was watching her, smiling. The lips in the reflection whispered soundlessly, I found you. Something inside her snapped. She turned, knocking over a display of glass ornaments as she bolted out the door. She ran until her lungs burned, through streets slick with rain, until she collapsed near the edge of campus. That's when she saw it. The mask was lying in a puddle face up, its smile stretching unnaturally wide. Her reflection shimmered faintly on the water's surface, but this time it wasn't mimicking her. It was moving toward her. Mia screamed as her reflection's hand burst through the water and seized her wrist. The puddle rippled violently. The mask vanished beneath the surface. When campus police found the area later, all they saw was a single black shoe and faint drag marks leading into the woods. Weeks later, Evelyn's Curios and Thrift closed down. Everything was cleared out except one thing. In the window, a mannequin head sat under a flickering light. On its face, a perfect, smooth mask smiled softly, a price tag dangling from its chin. Masks $5 each, and beneath it, in faded ink, "Do not wear."